So, the new Fallout trailer has been released. Fallout 4 is finally, after all this time, after all these long, hard, horrible years, been announced. As a huge Fallout fan, this is really exciting. This is incredibly exciting. I've watched the trailer a million times. No, I haven't watched it a million times. There isn't enough hours in the time that I've uploaded this to watch that, but I will watch it a million times. That's my promise to you. So what do we know? Well, the trailer has a lot to dig through, but I went through it, and here are a few things you may have missed in the new Fallout 4 official trailer. So the first opening shot begins like the original Fallout 3 teaser, which is a homage to the original opening of the very first Fallout game. It's a TV panning out to reveal a broken and desolate landscape. Now, first up, this Indian, a lot of people are like, does this Indian mean anything? He doesn't. Just forget it. He doesn't mean a thing. The music, however, this is Bethesda's old favourite, the ink spots. That's clearly a reference to their use of I Don't Want to Set the World on Fire, which they used first in the teaser for Fallout 3, and it was one of the kind of title tracks on all the radio stations in Fallout 3 as well. I actually thought it was the same song when I first heard it in the opening, but it's All Over But the Crying, which is very similar when you first hear this. It's not just me, it does sound like the very first opening part of I Don't Want to Set the World on Fire. But we've also got there the Radiation King, not the huge TV set, but rather the smaller screens that are featured in New Vegas and Fallout 3. They sometimes represent the kind of computer screens as well. They've never been usable though in any way. It's appeared since Fallout 1, the Radiation Kings, and it's a reference to the Simpsons as well. So we also have this clock, which I am certain I've seen in other Fallout games that I've not confirmed yet, but I'm almost certain that that clock is in other Fallouts. That's my claim to you. We've also got this board game here, Blast Radius, which looks like a board game, but as far as my knowledge goes, it's new. It hasn't appeared in anything prior to this game. It takes up a big clear spot in this table, however, so it could be a collectible or something within the game. Blast Radius also is pretty obvious what they're referring to there. Blasts and Fallout. There's also this magazine on the table, which I think actually is a brochure. It looks like it's got Mr. Handy on the front, so it's possibly a brochure that came with the Mr. Handy robot housekeeper that we'll see in a second. I think the family that lives here has just bought the Mr. Handy robot back before they died. Obviously horrible radiation deaths. There's also some wine or whiskey up on the top there. Now here is dog meat, takes up a big part of this trailer. It's the name that we give to the dog that you can adopt in Fallout 1 and Fallout 3. However, he or she might be called something different in this game, and he or she is clearly a German Shepherd and not a mutt or a mongrel like in previous games. Also, did anyone think this reminded them a lot of Call of Duty Ghosts?
Fascinating new additions to your squad is a dog.
That really worried me because Call of Duty Ghosts sucked, and it made a big deal about his German Shepherd dog. So here we see the Mr. Handy, which is a domestic housekeeping robot. We've seen it in several houses in the Wasteland, most notably in Fallout 3. Mr. Handy also has a military version called Mr. Gutsy, but as far as I can tell, he doesn't appear in this trailer, I don't think. We'll talk about that at the very end though. Mr. Handy and his housekeeping role is a sort of reference to the short story There Will Come Soft Rains, which I would check out if you like anything post-apocalyptic. We also have a Vault Tech poster in the background there. I think that implies that the family has a ticket or a place inside one of the vaults. There's also the classic Fallout radio up on the top there. Oh, also, you see this? Plastic dog bowls. Right, this isn't a big thing, okay? But you don't often see plastic in the Fallout universe. Like, plastic's not really something. They tend to go for all metal stuff, all metal construction. I just thought that was a bit weird. It looked a bit out of place. Here is what I think is the box of Mr. Handy. This is what led me to believe that maybe he was a new addition to the household. I think they just unboxed him. This also appears to be some kind of gas or fuel canister. I don't know whether maybe that's collectible. It's not appeared in any other games prior. Here are some classic Fallout assets scattered all about the room though. There's the red ball, there's a Nuka-Cola fire truck, and there's building blocks. These are all very Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas. There's also these 3 rockets on the mobile above the crib. These reminded me a lot of the rockets from the Repcom test site, I think it was, in New Vegas. However, this could all just be part of the whole retro futuristic style. It's not really a thing I don't think Bethesda would put in as a reference to New Vegas, which was made by Obsidian rather than Bethesda, who made Fallout 3. It's all very confusing. More stuff here though. We have a baseball mitt, baseball bat, and a ball. These are all, again, previous Fallout assets. However, I think they might have a bit more relevance to the Boston setting, which we'll see later. Now, this is interesting. Obviously, this is pre-war. It's not very often depicted in Fallout, but we have some New new vehicles, which is quite cool. There was a lot of just the same vehicle over and over and over again in Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas. We've got the sports car, the kind of Corvette over here. We also have a family car. These both look new. However, in the background there is a Fusion Flea. Those are already been in the past 2 games. They've already been in Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas. They're kind of 3-wheel, 1-seat cars, and they're absolutely ridiculous. I don't know who designed those things. We also have a vertibird flying up here, but what is this? You see that in the background? I think that looks like a tank, which is something we've never really seen at all in Fallout, aside from there was an awesome Sherman tank in Fallout Tactics, or there was this dumb Chimera tank in Fallout 3. We don't talk about that. Yeah, it was really stupid. That really annoys me. Whatever it is, though, it's a vehicle, so it probably won't be functioning in this post-apocalyptic wasteland anymore. But when we go back, it's not there anymore. So where did it go? Maybe something. Also, there's this kid here. We see him dressed in your classic Fallout kids gear. And my completely made up guess on the first point of seeing this is that you either control this kid or the family whose house we were just invading back there in a kind of pre-game, pre-apocalypse playthrough a la The Last of Us or something. It's just my crazy idea. When I'm wrong, you guys can all come back and correct me, but whatever. I put it out there. I'm brave enough to say it. Next up, we've got the classic pre-war pastime of begging to be let into a vault. However, some interesting things to note here. There's 2 soldiers wearing the classic T-51B power armor. This was noticeably absent from Bethesda's reboot of Fallout 3. It was replaced by the T-45D power armor, which is my favourite kind of stylistically. I think it looks a lot better. However, in-game, the lore states that the 51B was the kind of cutting-edge armor at the time of the war, and has always been more prominent and more kind of common around the wasteland. He's also holding what looks to be a CZ-53 personal minigun. It's pretty common in Fallout 3, and I'm holding out hope, though, that the dog-powered minigun from New Vegas returns. I am serious, and that is a thing. We also have another new vehicle in the background. We've got a van, and there's also the classic Fallout Vault Tech advert that you saw advertised quite a lot on the Fallout 3. I think it was on the back of the Fallout 3 case, actually. Here is the beautifully coloured new vault, Vault 111, which doesn't have any place in the lore. There's lists and lists and lists upon all the different vaults and all their functions, but 111 does not appear. It'll probably take the place of the player's kind of starting point, a bit like 101 did in Fallout 3. It says here, Vault Tech Societal Preservation Program. Now, I could be wrong. In fact, I most likely am, because I'm quite an idiot. But I've never heard that reference to in any way before in the games, mainly due to the fact that the Vault Tech were not very good at preserving anything, especially society. We also have this. It says the Purge Valve, which looks quite important and dangerous if you kind of tamper with it. Also, we are emerging up through the ground instead of through the caves of Fallout's previous, so that's quite nice. We also get this shot of the Fallout landscape, which looks very Fallout 3. This looks like the same neighbourhood we just came from, so no doubt the house from the trailer is down in there somewhere. This could be Boston in the background. I mean, I'm guessing it is. I don't recognise this circular building, however. Is that a piece of Boston architecture? Is that a Fallout thing? Boston people, tell me. Just get in here, tell me. Now, we also have some really nice colourful shots of Boston itself. We have what looks like a freeway in the background there, or maybe a monorail. I think it's a freeway, though. The Bethesda guys love their freeways. We've got a futuristic building here, and what looks to be the Bunker Hill Monument, maybe? I don't know. Again, I'm not certain. It looks a bit too kind of crowded, but it feels very reminiscent of the Fallout 3 DC monument. Now, this is what got me most excited. This is quite clearly the USS Constitution, or Old Ironside. She's one of the most famous warships in US history. However, it looks a lot like she's been fitted out to fly, of all things, and has either crashed or somehow ended up on top of these buildings. Now, even for Fallout, this is pretty over the top, and it looks like something more out of Doctor Who, but I'll dig it. I'm on board, literally and figuratively, as long as I can fly, or at least operate a cannon. That's what I want. Now, this is apparently Scollay Square. I think you can see it up there in the corner, which, to be honest, I've never heard of, but I assume is in Boston. Now, what have we got? Now, this is clearly some kind of community. We have the Memory Den, which could be a bar. It could be some kind of strip club. Who knows? There's lights. There's shacks in the background. There's someone who looks super recognizable way in the background there. See that kind of that girl on the poster? I don't know who that is. It reminds me a lot of the Captain Cosmos poster from Fallout 3, but that, I don't know. There's something else. She's one of the pin-up girls. There's loads of pin-up girls in Fallout, but I feel like I've seen her somewhere before, and she appears a lot in the trailer. Look at this guy's hand. That is a robotic hand. If ever I saw one, that guy's a cyborg. Calling it right now. Fallout 3, right, was littered with references. There was a whole quest about it, about this shadowy place called the Institute, which is the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, otherwise known as MIT, for all you smart folks that like those things where they take the first letter. Anyway, they seem to be building and constructing walking, talking, fully sentient androids, so I wouldn't be surprised if this had something to do with it. That's my second crazy guess of the episode. Next up, Pac Brahman. Not really much to it. Those classic big udder, double-headed cows. For God's sake, someone milk those things, alright? They're clearly in pain. That can't be comfortable. We've also got a community or an outpost built around a power station here. Looks quite cool. There's a new bus here. That's quite cool, I guess. A lot of new vehicles. I think those are super mutants. I can't really tell. It's really quick. It's really dark, but I'm pretty sure that is super mutant. Next up, though, Protectotrons. Bethesda. What have you done to the lovely Protectotrons? They're green, single body construction. You got no bolts or rivets. There's an angry red glow on the inside of the head case. Very suspicious. I don't know what's going on there. Some kind of new model, clearly. We've also got this Bay Centre. Bay something centre. I assume that could be South Bay Centre, which I think is a shopping centre according to Google Maps. There's also Black Bay, which is again in Boston, so I don't know, one of those things could be a reference to the location. We've also got a couple of new vehicles there and a kind of mildly futuristic cityscape. And this, see that? That's a 4-leaf clover. Good to see that St. Paddy's Day celebrations are here to stay in Boston despite being in a post-apocalyptic wasteland. Now, this had me very excited. This looks like a submarine. Now, at first I thought it was a ship, but then you got this conning tower on the top, which leads me to believe otherwise. It is a submarine, I'm certain, but if it is, it's bloody massive. Look at the size of that thing. It's huge. Much bigger than anything I've ever seen when it comes to submarines. It's also bigger than any that have ever been featured in Fallout games, which they have been, funnily enough. You've also got this weird crab thing. Mud crabs, maybe? That's what I'm thinking. Mirelurks. Dog meat again. We've got Deathclaw, which, you know, I hate Deathclaws, so that's not that great. He looks meaner than usual as well, which also I don't like the look of. You've also maybe got, is that a boat in the background? So maybe a dried up riverbed, but then you got this like swing set over here, so I don't think so. Either way, I'm avoiding this place, so it doesn't really matter. Satellites. Now, does Boston have any satellite arrays? I don't think this is taking place. Maybe there's like a section where you're in the Atacama Desert. I don't know. Maybe I think something to do with Institute again. This here is a vertibird of a slightly different, bulkier construction to the past models we've seen, so I don't know. Talking of bulkier though, look at these gowls. This looks like the Fallout 3 super duper mart all over again. But look at these gowls. These are feral gowls, I think. But they're much bigger and they're fleshed out, like literally fleshed out compared to past iterations. So maybe a new enemy, maybe a kind of redesign of the gowls. I don't know. It's Bethesda. They know though. So get on to them, not onto me. Now, what is this? Well, again, this is very Fallout 3. The moment I saw this, I was like, wow, they're just ripping off the Citadel from Fallout 3. But rather than the Pentagon, I'm pretty sure this is Fenway Park, based mainly on the green colours and the fact that there's a baseball statue guy right there. That's a pretty big reference. Furthermore though, I think inside Fenway Park is this community that we cut to straight afterwards. I mean, actually looking back, that's pretty obvious. We've got this iBot going past. There's this Enlist poster, which I don't know, it could be pre-war, but it looks vaguely Enclave related. Again, I don't see the Enclave coming back. They've destroyed them pretty thoroughly, and it was pretty ridiculous that they were even in Fallout 3, so I don't think they could be bringing them back again. But then we see this, Diamond City. You've got the same logo as we saw on the outside, and the background you got these stadium lights pointing inwards. So I mean, look, if I was going to build a community inside a post-apocalyptic Boston, and God help me, one day I will be, I would pick Fenway Park. We've also got these, the Swatters, no doubt a weapon shop or something, but you've also got this kind of baseball flavour to it. It's got a baseball uniform guard outside, but like the Warriors. You got a bat over the top of it. You got a cap-shaped entranceway. All very baseball related. Maybe a whole faction based around the love of baseball. Couldn't be more ridiculous than the Kings, I guess. Also spotted here, we've got the chem shop and a food shop. Looks a bit like Fallout 3's Megaton. I don't know though, looks big. Looks like a pretty big place. If this is Fenway Park, that's going to be some size. Now, what is this? Okay, we got Paul Revere statue here, obviously. We got Boston Courthouse. Nobody's really been messing with it looks like. But we got a bloody airship, accompanied by a vertibird. That's pretty technologically advanced. Now, I don't really know anyone in-game with this kind of tech except the Enclave. If I had to guess, I'd say it had something to do with MIT and the Institute. However, I think personally they're the kind of big bad in this game. They're replacing the Enclave slightly. But if we cut to the next part, we see here we've got the power armor suit. Now, that's not what the Enclave uses. So again, I really don't think it's the Enclave, but it could be the Brotherhood of Steel. They do have airships. It's how they got to DC, and it's how they kind of got to Chicago, if that lore is counted. But at this point, I don't think it's that kind of technologically advanced. We're talking kind of like flying buckets of bolts. We're not talking like armored warships of the sky. Maybe the US Constitution's got something to do with this. But anyway, we also have the RR fuel signs again. We got the Space Lady from before. We got the GNN, which is the Galaxy News Network. That is the radio station from Fallout 3, by the way. You know, Three Dog, that guy. I don't know. If he comes back, he was alright, but I don't know how they're going to work it in that he somehow managed to get to Boston. We've also got Fallon's, which is something I don't recognise at all. Now, here we have the Massachusetts State House and some Boston architecture, but cutting here, we go to the Vault 111 lift that I was talking about earlier, and we've also see there the houses that we started this trailer in. Also, this guy looks to be wearing some kind of riot armour, but it looks kind of new. That might be a new armour set. This lady here seems to be the mother and child from the start of the trailer, making me think that their story forms maybe some of the intro that we saw earlier. Finally, to top it all off, we have the garage. This was featured in the first official screenshot. We have some T-51B power armour here in a kind of semi-constructed state. We've got a laser rifle. There's some other bits that I don't recognise up on the wall there. We got some kind of weird Vault Tech drawer, possibly with a poster, maybe. It's featuring all the kind of Vault Boys on it. I don't really know what that's about. We got a deconstructed Mr. Handy. Maybe that's the Mr. Handy that we saw at the start. Maybe it's a Mr. Gutsy. Looks to me like that's Mr. Handy. We've also got a bobblehead from Fallout 3 making their return. We've got magazine stands featuring some Grognak the Barbarian and Guns and Bullets. Those are magazines that you could get in Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas, although they did slightly different things. We have got the Nuka-Cola girl. That's the space girl that we've been seeing throughout the trailer here. We've also got the Wonder Glue, more wine. We've got a minigun, ammunition, baseball, a stim pack. A lot of references here. We've also got some kind of rifle. Now, this looks like my old favourite, the hunting rifle, but with a kind of silencer, maybe indicating the return of weapon mods that we saw in Fallout New Vegas. However, the rifle seen here in the screenshot is actually different, and the rifle we see here is actually the one the character is holding here. So, who knows? We then see a Pip-Boy. That is the Pip-Boy from Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas. Armoured Vault suit armour. It's not the kind of one that has the shoulder pads, but it's something close for, obviously, Vault 111. And we got a pan of the city showing what either looks like maybe a crashed plane or maybe some kind of train. I don't really know. Either way, just before we get our classic Fallout walk into the distance with our dog, he then goes and bloody speaks, which is pretty crazy, right? Fallout guy speaking? Either way, that's everything I found. Now, if there is something I missed, I gotta know. Please, put it in the comments. Tell me. Tweet at me or something. I gotta know. What else is in this thing that I've missed? I am very excited. I mean, I've seen a lot of complaints already. We're only a few hours past its release and I've seen people talking about, oh geez, the graphics look horrible. Yeah, it's a Bethesda game. What are you expecting? It's not going to be The Witcher. Come on. You don't play Fallout. You don't play Skyrim for the cracking top-notch graphics. You play for everything else. But also, we've got all these weird, crazy story things. We've got the US Constitution coming out of nowhere. We've got some pretty cool communities and stuff. I'm a big Fallout New Vegas fan, which, as I mentioned earlier, was made by a different company. It was made by Obsidian, who are kind of... They've got more of the team from the original Fallout series, so it was more close to the original Fallout. So I prefer that. However, Fallout 3 is an incredible game, and I'm pretty confident that Bethesda is going to pull another amazing experience out of the bag, so I'm very excited. Anyway, thanks very much for watching, guys. Again, if I missed anything, please tell me. And yeah, I can't wait to see you on the Wasteland. Well, it's not an MMO, so I won't see you there, but I'll see you in other places. Bye-bye.